What if everything you believe about the Springboks is wrong? For years, rugby fans around the world have pointed to the same reasons for South Africa's success. Some say it's the famous bomb squad that overwhelms tired opponents. Others believe it's Rassie Erasmus' tactical genius, the relentless kicking game, or the brutal rush defense that separates the Springboks from everyone else. Those things are certainly important, but they aren't the real reason this team keeps winning the biggest matches on earth. The true secret isn't written on a tactics board, and it isn't something you can measure with statistics alone. It's an emotion. It's an identity. It's a promise that every player silently makes the moment he pulls on the green and gold jersey. That promise is simple. No matter what happens, the Springboks will never lose the collision. They might lose possession. They might lose a lineout. They might even lose a test match on a difficult day. But losing the physical battle? To them, that isn't just a mistake. It's something far more personal. Because for this team, every tackle is about pride, every carry is about respect, and every collision is a chance to prove exactly who they are. That mindset has transformed South Africa into one of the most feared teams in world rugby, and perhaps no match tells that story better than the unforgettable 2023 Rugby World Cup final in Paris. On paper, it looked like another clash between two rugby giants, the Springboks and the mighty All Blacks. But what unfolded that night wasn't simply a rugby match. It became a test of courage, endurance, and sheer determination. From the opening whistle, New Zealand launched wave after wave of attack. Every minute seemed to bring another challenge. Every tackle demanded everything the South Africans had left. Most teams would eventually crack under that pressure. The Springboks refused to. Instead of breaking, they became even more determined. Every collision sent a message that they were willing to suffer longer than their opponents. Every defensive stand told the All Blacks that nothing would come easily. As the clock continued to tick, the numbers became almost unbelievable. By the final whistle, South Africa had completed an astonishing 209 tackles, the highest total ever recorded in a men's Rugby World Cup final. Think about that for a moment. Modern rugby is designed to stop teams from defending that much. Coaches spend years creating attacking systems that prevent their players from making endless tackles. Yet somehow, the Springboks not only survived after making 209 tackles, they actually lifted the Webb Ellis Cup. Even more remarkably, the previous World Cup final tackling record also belonged to South Africa from their victory over England in 2019. The two greatest defensive performances ever seen on rugby's biggest stage belong to the same country. That isn't coincidence. That's identity. Standing at the center of that incredible performance was Pieter-Steph du Toit, who delivered one of the finest defensive displays rugby has ever witnessed. While fans celebrated spectacular tries and highlight reel moments throughout the tournament, Du Toit quietly produced history in a completely different way. He completed an incredible 28 tackles during the final, shattering the previous World Cup final record held by legendary All Blacks captain Richie McCaw. Time after time, one name kept appearing in the biggest moments. Whenever powerful runners tried to build momentum, there was Du Toit waiting for them. One of his biggest targets was Jordie Barrett, one of New Zealand's strongest ball carriers. Again and again, Barrett was stopped before he could truly damage the South African defense. Every collision slowed New Zealand's attack. Every dominant tackle slowly drained confidence from one of the world's most dangerous teams. The scoreboard may have shown only a single-point victory, but beneath those numbers, a completely different battle had already been won. And here's what makes this story even more remarkable. The victory over New Zealand wasn't an isolated miracle. It was the final chapter of one of the toughest Rugby World Cup knockout journeys ever completed. Before reaching the final, South Africa had already survived a breathtaking 29-28 victory over France, followed by another nail-biting 16-15 win against England. 3 knockout matches. 3 different rugby styles. 3 completely different tactical challenges. Yet every single game ended the same way. South Africa found a way to win by just 1 point. History had never seen a team win every knockout match of a Rugby World Cup campaign by the smallest possible margin. Some called it luck. Others called it destiny. Inside the South African camp, they called it belief. After lifting the trophy, Pieter-Steph du Toit smiled and admitted that perhaps the team simply liked drama. But behind that joke was an important truth. Pressure didn't scare the Springboks. Somehow, it made them stronger. While many teams panic when matches become chaotic, South Africa becomes calmer. The bigger the moment, the greater their belief. That mentality didn't disappear after the World Cup celebrations ended. In fact, it became even more obvious. During the 2024 international season, head coach Rassie Erasmus did something that surprised almost everyone in rugby. Instead of relying on a settled squad, he used an incredible 50 different players across just 13 test matches. Most coaches spend years searching for consistency by selecting the same combinations. Erasmus seemed to be doing the exact opposite. Yet the results spoke louder than any criticism ever could. South Africa won 11 of those 13 tests, and even their 2 defeats came by the narrowest possible margin, just 1 point each. That achievement proved something extraordinary. The strength of the Springboks wasn't hidden inside one superstar or one magical generation of players. It lived inside the jersey itself. Every new player understood exactly what wearing that jersey demanded. The names changed. The standards never did. Of course, no great team is perfect. There are moments when even champions stumble. One of those moments came at Eden Park, where South Africa endured a difficult defeat after making costly handling errors, struggling at the line-out, and allowing the All Blacks to dominate the early physical exchanges. Critics immediately questioned whether the world champions had finally lost their edge. Had the formula stopped working? Had the Springboks finally been figured out? Those questions lasted exactly 1 week. Because what happened next reminded the rugby world why this team is so special. In Wellington, South Africa produced one of the greatest responses in modern rugby history, defeating New Zealand by an astonishing 43-10. It wasn't just another victory. It became the heaviest test defeat the All Blacks had ever suffered in more than a century of international rugby. That's what separates truly great teams from ordinary ones. Great teams don't pretend failure never happens. They answer failure with something unforgettable. So where does this incredible resilience actually come from? Surprisingly, the answer isn't found inside a gym or on a rugby field. It begins with South Africa itself. A nation built from extraordinary diversity, home to 12 official languages and countless different cultures, histories, and communities. Players arrive from completely different backgrounds, speaking different first languages, growing up in different environments, and experiencing very different lives. Yet the moment they pull on the green and gold jersey, those differences become one shared purpose. That unity has often been captured perfectly by Captain Kolisi, whose own journey inspired millions around the world. After lifting the 2019 Rugby World Cup, Kolisi reminded everyone that his team came from different races, different cultures. What if everything you believe about the Springboks